Hey y'all, so first let me apologize for my voice. It's still not 100%, but I've got a cough drop, I've got a cup of tea here. We're gonna get through this together. All right, we're talking about multiple choice. The purpose of this video is a couple of things. One, I want you to understand the test structure. Two, I want you to understand strategies for how to tackle multiple choice. And three, I want you to be prepared to practice for the multiple choice practices we're gonna be doing in class. So, as you know, the AP Lit exam is 3 hours in total. We've got 1 hour for multiple choice, followed by 2 hours of essays. We've been working a lot on essays in class. As you know, there are 3 essays that you are going to be writing in 2 hours. Q1 is our poetry analysis. Q2 is the prose analysis, which we've been practicing a lot lately. And then Q3 is the novel analysis question, which you'll be learning during our Gatsby unit, so very soon. But today we're talking all about multiple choice. So as you can see here, multiple choice counts for 45% of your score. There are 5 passages, 55 questions, and you have 1 hour to complete the multiple choice section. The multiple choice section always comes first, then you get a 10-minute break, and then you go on to the essay section. In the multiple choice section, you have a mixture of some poetry passages and then some prose passages. So of the 5 passages that you're going to read on multiple choice, sometimes you'll have 2 prose, 3 poetry, sometimes it'll be the opposite, but it's always a mixture of poetry and prose for the 5 passages. Okay, moving right along to our essential information. So basically the multiple choice section is measuring how precise of a reader are you? How much do you look at details? How much have you understood? How much can you understand in this short amount of time? The multiple choice section is very, very difficult, and it comes from making sure that you're reading precisely and also the short amount of time that you have. Most of the multiple choice questions are based in literal understanding. So you'll read through the passage and the multiple choice questions will ask you what's basically happening in this passage. You'll also have some device identification and things like that. But if you understand the passage, you will do well on the multiple choice. If you do not understand the passage, then the multiple choice is going to be really, really difficult. Answer choices, you have 5 of them for each question. You're looking for the best answer, not just a good answer or what might be the right answer, but out of these 5 choices, what is the best answer? So there's always going to be one answer choice that is strongest among the 5, and then the other 4 answer choices will be not quite as good. Overall, you need to give up the pursuit of perfection on the multiple choice section of the AP exam. If you are planning on getting 100% on the multiple choice, you will be very, very, very disappointed. It is meant to be challenging, it is meant to be frustrating, it is meant to be difficult, and you will miss some, and that's okay. Our aim is for about 55% correct for the raw score on the multiple choice. And then, of course, we'll adjust that score when it goes into the grade book. Here I have a breakdown, and you can see how people did in terms of what percent of the multiple choice they got correct, and then ultimately what AP score they received on the exam. So a 3, 4, and 5 is considered a qualifying score by College Board. And keep in mind that a 2 also means that you're on track to being college ready. So take a second just to examine this chart and see what sort of conclusions you have from looking at this. Okay, if you need more time, pause the video. But I want to point out here that oh my gosh, so many noises. If you get into the 55% range, you are on track to land in the 3 to 4 range. If we can get higher than that, that's awesome, but 55% is our first goal, much like getting a 5 on Q2 is our first goal for the essay portion. Okay. Some general strategies. First of all, order the passages. You have to be smarter than this exam. You can't just start at number 1 and go straight through. You have to order them. So look at all 5 passages, flip through the test, and then you're going to order them from easiest to most difficult. You want to start with the easiest passage, the one you're going to do the best on, and you want to end with the passage that's going to be most difficult. Because if you run out of time, you want to run out of time on the one that you probably wouldn't have done that well on either. Or anyway, you're going to read, paraphrase, and annotate as you're reading the passage. So read to understand the passage. And as you are reading it, you're going to be paraphrasing and annotating on the side because that's going to make you go faster later. The next thing is to watch your time. Some people say about 1 minute per question, but I think timing it that way is a little overwhelming. Instead, I would think, okay, I have 60 minutes, I have 5 passages, that's about 12 minutes per passage. And I would write the times at the top of the passage to make sure that you don't spend too long on any one. If you take 13 minutes on one passage and 11 minutes on the next passage, that's totally fine. It's both an art and a science. And whenever you're thinking about which answer choice you want to go with, choose the answer with the most amount of support from the passage. Okay, remember that if you understand the passage, then you will do well on the multiple choice. So here's the recommended approach that I have for you in terms of how to break down and understand these passages before you start on the multiple choice. So first is to scan for context. What notes do you have about this passage? The next is to look for some text features. Look at the footnotes, look at what date it's published, who's the author, what's the title of the passage, what's the title of the novel. Skim through the passage, what words stand out to you, what can you already infer about tone. Steps 1 and 2 here will take you maybe 30 seconds, but will put you in the right frame of mind. Then you're reading for literal meaning, annotate as you read. Figurative meaning, annotate as you read. And then at the end, you're thinking, okay, what was this about? What is this passage really about? What is the theme? Write out a couple of thematic subjects at the end, and then you'll be ready to tackle the multiple choice questions. If you remember nothing else from this video, remember that we want to understand these passages before we go on to the multiple choice questions. You have to be a good reader in order to answer the multiple choice questions well. Okay, along with that, something that you can do to prepare for multiple choice is to read a lot. Keep in mind the AP Lit exam is 3 hours of reading. If you don't have that kind of stamina right now, then you need to be working on that all year to build up how much you can read in that amount of time and how much you're going to pay attention and stay focused. So that's why we're reading in class. That's why I'm encouraging you to read at home. You have to read and build up that muscle. Okay, a lot of you seniors have already done SAT prep in junior seminar, and if you were junior, you're going to start that very soon if you have not already. So I want to talk to you about strategies on the SAT versus strategies on the AP Lit exam. A lot of them are similar, and then there's one really big difference. So when we look at the revised SAT, you two have 5 passages on the reading portion. You have 52 questions, so pretty similar, and you have about 5 more minutes. In the reading section of the SAT, you have 1 literary passage, 2 science passages, and 2 social studies passages. So already looking at this, you should be thinking, okay, some things might be different because these aren't all literature. Some of them are some nonfiction reading, which is different from the fiction and the poetry that we're reading in class. Down below, I have some strategies that you learned or will learn in junior seminar. As you can see over here, most of these strategies that you learn in seminar will also apply to the AP exam. So, find proof of the correct answer in the passage? Yes, please. Process of elimination? Yes, please. Personal order of difficulty? Yup. And letter of the day? Yes, you should guess if it comes down to it. Here's the main difference I want to talk about. In seminar and in your SAT prep classes, you learn that you should not necessarily read the whole passage and instead read only what you need, just above and just below the line reference. Please, 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 please do not do that. That will work on the SAT when it comes to technical nonfiction reading, and it does not work for the AP Lit exam because, like I said 5,000 times by now, you have to have a good understanding of the entire passage, including theme, to answer the multiple choice questions well. So you must read the entire passage on the AP Lit exam, understand it literally, understand it figuratively, understand it thematically before you go on to the multiple choice questions. You have to read the whole thing. Okay, that's all I've got for you. We will have a short quiz on this our next day in class to prove that you have watched this video. Write down any questions that you have, and what else do I want to tell you? Okay, yeah, write down any questions that you have and go ahead and read the passage that I gave you in class today. And I want you to basically do these steps here. Prepare this passage, read through it, annotate it, do all of these steps, and then we'll answer the multiple choice questions when we're back in class together. Okay, that's it. Goodbye.